All right, back to the task at hand. So, Jaccob Slavin, who I was a big fan of during the season. Carolina was a team that right at the start of the season I said they don't have a chance. Nope. I was wrong. And there's two big reasons for that. Jaccob Slavin, who got this contract, and Brett Pesce are two examples as well. Because I didn't see any hope for Carolina's blue line whatsoever. I thought the Canes were dead in the water at the start of the year. And if not for a slow start, they could have made the playoffs. That slow start really sunk them. They had that six-game road trip at the start of the year, and it hurt them, and then it just didn't get any better from there. So, 7 years buys up, I think, 2 years of him being a UFA. $5.3 million a year is a risky cap hit considering his point totals haven't been that high, but he's a really good all-around defenseman, and it's a good investment. $37.1 million, that number jumps off the board definitely. But at the same time, Slavin's 23. They're buying up years of UFA. So when people see this big money being thrown at the young guys, that's part of what they're doing. They're trying to buy up unrestricted free agency years. And players aren't giving that up for very little. Now, what this does is it does get rid of the bridge deal. Like Slavin only makes, I think, $760,000 this year. And then next year, this new cap hit kicks in. But Slavin at 23, 5.3 a year, $37 million, I like it. It is risky. Any 7-year contract, though, is risky. You're risking injury. You're risking that their career 3-4 years from now won't be progressing as well as it was at this point. But for Carolina, they have cap space. They're able to make this kind of move. They don't have a lot of big superstar players who are demanding big money. And Slavin is a bona fide top 4 defenseman. And if you didn't watch Carolina games last year, I'm telling you, he impressed me a lot. Slavin was one of those guys who I really appreciated during the year. And I can totally understand why Ron Francis would give him this kind of money. I've also had some comments about Ron Francis running the Canes and compared him to Sakic in the past. But at this stage, I think the Canes are on the right track, and the Abs, it's going to take some time. I haven't got into the Canes and whether or not they're going to make the playoffs yet. Okay, so I drew up this. This is Carolina's likely top 7. So you've got Falk, Slavin, Pesce, Hanifin, Van Riemsdyk, Fleury, Dahlbeck. Now, Hayden Fleury was drafted, I believe, as number 7 a few years ago in the draft, and was seen as a slam dunk, and he was going to make it. He's been passed by Pesce and Slavin. It is not that Fleury's not a good defenseman. It is that these guys are this good. They're that good that on depth charts that I've looked at, Noah Hanifin is at number 4. It is not a top 10 defense right now in the NHL, but this has the potential to be one of the best defenses in the NHL. Absolutely. If Noah Hanifin becomes what he's projected to become, Slavin, Pesce, Falk, it's going to be lights out. It's going to be awesome. And here's Van Riemsdyk, and there's been a lot of comments about how Carolina picked up Chicago leftovers, and they have, but take it from a Canucks fan who watched a bunch of St. Louis Blues leftovers come over in the early 90s. That can be okay. And the fact that Carolina's taking players from a winning franchise like Chicago is a good thing. It's absolutely a good thing. I know it hasn't translated with the Jets in terms of when they picked up Ladd and Byfuglien, but the guys they picked up from Chicago helped. And Byfuglien is a key guy for Winnipeg. So you want to talk about, it's just a dumping ground for old Hawks players. Hey, if you can take guys from a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, you take them. So, to me, that is a bona fide top 4. Slavin gets paid as a top 4 defenseman. And I don't see a huge downside here. Like, let's say in a year, let's just say he bombs out this year. Let's just say Slavin bombs out. He was wonderful this past season, and in 17-18 he bombs out. They have cap space. And a 6-year contract, it would be about $31 million left. Somebody would grab it. Because even if he bombed out this year, somebody would take a chance on him. So there really isn't a risk here for Carolina. It's a really good signing. And it's not usually the kind of contract I would do a video on, but man, he is a... Drop my marker. He's a very good defenseman. Better than I am at handling markers, certainly. But yeah, I really, really like what he's doing. And I like what Ron Francis is doing to reward him. If you didn't have a chance to watch Carolina Hurricanes towards the end of the season, you will be surprised by things like the fact that I believe Sebastian Aho is going to have a very good year in the fantasy category, and you're going to be surprised that I say their defense is really, really good. Because if you didn't watch Carolina, guys like Slavin and Pesce, you're going to be like, well, you would think, well, who are they, and they don't belong in a top 4 in the NHL. They were really, really good. And then there's this Justin Falk at the top, not to be confused with his namesake, Justin Falk. And I have to say, having two guys in the NHL with names that phonetically are exactly the same, and they're only one letter off from each other, leads to some confusion. So that when I talk about one, people will think I'm talking about the other. So, you know, to make it clear, pretty sure Justin Falk's still in Buffalo. He was in Minnesota. I'm pretty sure he's still in Buffalo. And this one's in Carolina, and he's not going anywhere. So if I ever say, well, trade bait would be Justin Falk, I mean this one. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think about the contract. I think it's a good contract. I think it's another sign that Carolina's on the right track. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, and thank you so much for watching. You guys are awesome.